right. Well, all right. Well, all right. Hey guys, this is Bruce. Welcome to Convocourses podcast. And as usual, we talk about cybersecurity topics, GRC specifically, governance, risk, and compliance, which is something I notice a lot of people don't really talk about. It's one section of cybersecurity that is arguably the most important and a great career. And I'm somebody who's been in this path for a very long time, over 20 years now. And let's get right into it. Right today, I want to bring up something somebody brought up to me. Ryan brought up to me. Ryan's actually appeared on this podcast before, and thank you for that, Ryan. If you have to be watching me, because I have no topics. I have no topics. I just jump on here. This is something I do on the side. I have a full-time job. I'm really a GRC guy. I'm really a cybersecurity guy. So this is something I do in my spare time on weekends or after work or something like that. So often I don't have time. And sometimes I even work on weekends, to be honest with you. Okay, so let me show you guys what we got going on here. What we're going to cover here today are 50 domains of cybersecurity. It's my first time really taking a glance at this. And some of these things I'm not familiar with the domains. I mean, I'm not familiar with it, but I've never done it before. So I'll be completely honest with you if I happen to cover one or two that I've never really messed with. So let's get into this. And if you're interested in this, the link is in description. If you happen to be watching me on Facebook or YouTube, the link is in description. It's on X, and that link points to the security SecMaster at SecMaster1 is the one who put this in place. So let me go ahead and I don't know, it's not switching on me for some reason. All right, yeah, something's wrong. I will present this in a second here. Give me a second, guys. I'm on Twitter, I'm on YouTube, I'm on TikTok. Let's do this. Gotta reshare the screen, guys. I apologize for this. Just stop working for some reason. It happens in IT from time to time. Okay, here we go. If you're listening to me, I'm showing on my screen Twitter post where somebody posted the top 50 cybersecurity domains. And if there's anything on here that they miss, I'll point it out, or things I disagree with, or whatever, I'll point it out. Let's start with the top one. And I don't think that I'm not sure if they listed this in order. Seems like they kind of just haphazardly mentioned these things. But let's start at the top with network security. Super, super important. I talked about that quite a bit on this podcast. One of the essential things that you need to have in your toolbox is a knowledge of network security. And it's one of those things where the first three, I would say, on this list, the more you know of these, the better your skill will be. And the first three are network security, application security, and cloud security. Network security is really what everything is based off of. A lot of these things are not possible without network technology, networking computers. So network technology, network is, the more you know about it, the better. So network security is definitely could be in the top 5 of anybody's 50 domains of top 50 of most important things to know in IT in general. Then they've got application security. I've often talked about you don't really have to know how to code. You don't really have to know how to code, but you do have to know something about applications and how they work with operating systems and how to secure them properly, because it comes up quite a bit no matter where you are in GRC, because all of us are using apps. Cloud technology. This is something that in the last 20 years has become more and more and more popular, and it's being used. It's becoming something that you can't even take away from modern society. It's that important. And more people, organizations are putting their stuff in the cloud. Then you've got number 4, mobile security, absolutely important. That's your phones, making sure your phone is secure. Cryptography, obviously super important. Data loss prevention, that's making sure that you are in control of your data or your process or your products leaving inventory without you knowing about it. You know, that can be your important information leaving. It could be uh, parts of your process leaving. So it's organizations protecting part of their confidentiality for the secrets, the secret sauce of their organization. Identity and access management. This gets into making sure that everybody who is on your network has a proper identity and authentication. And if they get access, you're doing it in a way that's secure. Endpoint security means like all the workstations in your organizations, all the points where a user is actually using that device or that laptop or that desktop. That's endpoint security. It's usually excluding servers. It's mostly like workstations. Usually that's what they mean by endpoint. But really, if you think about it, endpoint is any device that's at the end of the network that the users are using. Incident response is huge. This is where you get into SOC analyst work and security, a cybersecurity analyst and that kind of thing. Threat intelligence. This one's become more and more popular. I've done a little bit of this, and actually, this was really fun. This one, I actually thought about just doing this specifically in cybersecurity because it was so fun. They've got a bunch of tools, and what it is detecting the threats to your business or your mission. So it could be something like, let's say you worked at Walmart and you want to look into the dark web to see if there's people have hacked your network and then put it on the dark web. There's tools that will allow you to actually go and see if you have leaked information like usernames and usernames and accounts out there on the dark web, and you would use threat intelligence to figure that out. And there's a bunch of other ways, and you can actually do it manually. You just go out there and look on the whole internet for people who are using your organization's name and how they're using it. SOC, that's security operations center. This is usually the hub of every organization and business. And some organizations, smaller organizations, don't have this, but the larger organizations, your federal organizations, your state organizations, they usually have what's called a security operations center that all the security goes through. And this is where they'll do threat intelligence and incident response. So this one actually, they could have broke this one down in the many different parts. Then you've got number 12, they got security information and management. Security information and event managers management. And this is a tool and a process that's used within your SOC environments. What it does is it aggregates all and collects all of the logs in one place, allowing a team like the security operating system center or whoever to see all the logs in one place and then do like an algorithm to see what patterns that they can find and use to find anomalous behavior on the network. Pen testing, you guys know what that is. That's hacking and stuff. Vulnerability management, that's definitely should be on this list. Security awareness training, you wouldn't think that that'd be on the list, but that's one of the most important things to an organization because one of the main attack vectors is people just not knowing what they're doing and then clicking on a link and then inviting a virus or something into the network or just getting tricked into giving their passwords or something. So security awareness training is important. We're on 16, forensics analysis, super important. That's the stuff you see on digital CSI and stuff like that. Them cracking open computers and taking the hard drive out, and then somebody tried to destroy it after they did some criminal activity, and then they're still able to recover it. Secure coding, not only writing code, but writing the code securely. And if you're joining us late, what we're talking about is the top 50 items. Somebody put on Twitter, let me see, what's the name of the person? The Sec Master One on Twitter. If you want to join them, that's cool. They put out a list of top 20 domains for cybersecurity. And so far, I agree with most of these items on here. Anyway, 18 is web security. So web security is obviously protecting your website. Wireless security, yes. Physical security, absolutely important. One of the most important things, actually. If you don't have that, if you can't physically secure your system, you don't have a secure system. Risk management. This is the idea of this is very, very important that a lot of organizations, folks don't get. And you're not going to have 100% security on your network, on your system. Nothing is 100%. So the idea behind risk management is we know that some things are going to be insecure. We know insecure. We know some things are going to be they're going to be vulnerable. We know that we're going to have some level of exposure. That just comes with it. We have to take some level of risk. And so us as an organization, we're going to manage the level of risk that we're willing to accept. Banks have a different level of risk than publicly traded companies have a different level of risk than a local mom and pop store. Everybody has a different level of risk. So risk management is all about that. That's what I do for a living, actually. Compliance management, that's making sure organizations are in compliance with certain laws and regulations in their industry. Governance, risk, and compliance. I feel like these three, 20, 21, 22, and 23 could have been combined together into one thing. So I definitely agree that this should be on this list, but he could have probably combined those because it's all kind of the same. Governance, risk, and compliance covers risk management and compliance management. So that's what I mean by that. Security architecture. This is super important. This is making sure that the whole network, the entire enterprise, is built securely, and you have the proper commercial off-the-shelf systems. You have your proper cryptography on systems that are outside the network. You have a proper network setup. You have a external network versus a DMZ and an internal separately. So those are types of things that you would think about as a security, or you might think about as a security architect. Then you've got security policy and procedures. Yeah, that's very important. Disaster recovery, very important. Business continuity planning. Again, these probably could have been put together. They are different things, but probably could have merged those. They're very closely aligned. Anyway, security development life cycle, secure development life cycle. Importance. I think maybe they mean system development life cycle. System development. There's a system development life cycle and there's software development life cycle, and they usually their cybersecurity process is in a line with the system development life cycle. So, and all that means is whenever you develop a new system, it goes through these phases. It goes through like a birth, a maintenance, and a death. Right? It's kind of like that, except it's like initial implementation where you're thinking about it and you're putting security in the very beginning. And then you've got, okay, now we're going to develop it. We're going to buy all the parts for it. We're going to make sure all those parts fit our business and mission. And then we've got maintenance. So we put it all in place. We've implemented it. Now we've got to have maintenance in place. And then finally, when it's done, it's old, it's end of life, and this stuff's no longer supported by vendors, we're going to get rid of it properly. So that's the system development lifecycle, and security is usually in line with that. Whether you're talking about ISO 27001 or you're talking about NIST 800 or NIST CSF, all of them address the system development lifecycle in some way, shape, or form. Talked way too much about that one. Number 29, incident intrusion detection and prevention systems. Absolutely, that's important. Virtual private networks, VPNs. SSL and TLS, absolutely a part of this, those main domains. Multi-factor authentication, yes. Zero trust security models is something I want to address on a whole separate video and break it all down. Insider threat management, absolutely important. Supply chain security, very, very important. I noticed more frameworks are starting to include that. More organizations are starting to be more take that more seriously because a lot of people are getting hacked because of the supply chain, lack of security on the supply chain. That means like, what are you, if you're buying something or you purchase a service from another organization, you want to make sure that that organization is also secure. You don't want to just randomly be buying stuff from organizations, because in the past that's been a way that many organizations have been hacked. In industrial control systems security, this is utility companies, um, from your electric companies, and your water companies. All of those guys have these big systems that control very important critical infrastructure, and they use this right here, industrial control systems. Internet of Things security, yeah, private data privacy, of course. Digital forensics, I think they already addressed that up here, and I'm not smart enough to know whether that's separate things, but they already said forensics, so I think that I would think that you can merge those two together. And we're on 39 here. We only have a few more to go. Malware analysis, very important. Social engineering, important, but I think you probably could have merged that one with something. There's a couple of duplicates on here, but yeah, social engineering. Threat hunting, this is definitely something you could have merged with threat intelligence, but that's cool. Blockchain security, I don't really know a lot about that one. I don't work with that, but that's because as people are using blockchain technologies, I would imagine that is definitely going to be on this list. Dark web monitoring, also another thing that you would put under threat intelligence, I think. Security training and certification. This is already addressed up here. Some duplicates now. Security metrics and reporting. Yes, that's, yeah, continuous monitoring, super important. Password management, red team, blue team exercises, pen testing. You could probably put that, but yeah, red team, blue team testing, security automation, and then quantum cryptography, which sounds crazy, but that's actually becoming a part of a conversation these days. So quantum cryptography, check this out. This is crazy. So quantum computers can do way heavier, way more complex calculations than conventional the computers that you're watching me on right now, and so complex, as a matter of fact, that they could break very hard encryption. And I'm not smart enough to articulate this properly, so bear with me as I just explain it in layman's terms the way I understand it. So there's computers that are these quantum computers um, are so complex that they're able to crack codes that we currently use. Some of the codes we currently use for encryption of our banking stuff, or internet. If you've ever gone to your mobile banking app, use that. It's using encryption that could possibly be cracked by quantum computing. If you use crypto, like money, some of the crypto wallets and some of the crypto actual money is based on is built on cryptography that could be cracked by quantum computing. Yeah, this is no joke. Quantum computing is no joke. And luckily, not many people, only like governments and very large organizations who can spare $1 billion to do some research and development, are able to afford these. Organizations like Google, governments like the CCP, governments like the U.S. government, organizations like NASA, organizations like, huge organizations are able to do this in their backyard. But luckily, it's not in the hands of like Joe Blow just yet, because all hell will break loose once this gets cheaper, once it gets more commercially available and people get a hold of it. We have to be off of the old cryptography that can be cracked by quantum computing. So that's essentially what it is. Okay, so that was great, man. Thanks, Ryan, for that. I appreciate you, man. Let me go to questions before I had something else I want to bring up. People always ask me what are my resources, and I have a few that I could show you guys. All right, I got Larry on here. Hey, Larry, how you doing, man? Thank you so much. Happy Saturday. Ready to learn some GRC. Cloud security is becoming increasingly important in the public sector. Absolutely. I'm reading a lot of projects migrating legacy systems to the cloud. And man, it's becoming more and more important. I myself am having to learn uh, cloud computing. So the more you know about it, like on the top of this list that we talked about, it's yeah, I would say it's top five of things to learn, because a lot of things that we do today are being, it's just cheaper for organizations to use it in some cases. So that's why they're starting to put their data on all on in the cloud. And that means, and what that means is other organizations, like larger organizations, are managing it elsewhere, and they have backups, they have hot swappable hard drives, they have a 24-hour staff, they have physical security, they have logical security. It's all in place already, and that way you can just focus on your business, right? And there's still some security stuff that you have to do on your end, but there's a back end stuff that you don't have to worry about if it was on your premises. And so class-wide cloud computing is becoming a more popular item. Tim says CIA exposed. Check out my feed. Okay. Let me see. CIA? Do you mean like the CIA, the organization, or confidentiality, integrity, and availability? Which one? I imagine you're talking about the government agency. Good thing about cloud, it's already it has built-in multi-factor authentication. Yeah, there's a lot of security features that are going to be built in, but it depends on what you're doing, because they have infrastructure as a service, they have platform as a service, you have software as a service, you have security as a service. It depends on what you're using it for, because there's some organizations who will use their infrastructure as a service, which means they're only using their equipment. They're like using the service, but they're putting all of their applications and servers uh, on that platform of, say, Amazon or something. And that means that you still have to put all the security features on there. They might have all the physical security all taken care of, and they have backups and all that stuff. That's good to go. But if you're just putting your stuff on their infrastructure, and you're not relying on any of their, they're not using, you're not using any of their security outside of the physical security of the actual place that they're putting it in, then that means you still have to do the multi-factor authentication. You might still have to do the auditing in the back end. It depends on how you're using the cloud. You know what I mean? And somebody smarter than me on cloud could probably break all of this down and distinguish between the platform as a service versus security as a service versus software as a service versus platform as a service, because they're different things. All right, let me see if I got any questions or comments on TikTok. I'm watching you guys now. Let me see. People on TikTok are saying, I got a lot of people watching me, but nobody's saying anything. It's crazy. Yeah, appreciate you guys watching me. Thank you. Appreciate that. Oh, okay. I got a couple things. Citrix Cloud is what got United Health in trouble recently. Yeah, I did read about that. Somebody hacked into their cloud service. So there is still security you have to put on your in your environment. That's why it's really important to get your people smart on cloud and securing it. What the government does is they have a whole process that's separate called FedRAMP, where they vet all of the cloud technology. They're not just going to use anything, right? They vet all the technology and the company, so that's a supply chain is secure. Like, they make sure that, okay, we're not buying nothing from like Alibaba, who we know is compromised by the CCP Chinese government, right? And this is not I'm not on some old, down with the commie type bullshit. I'm saying there's another government who their rules and their laws is that all the data goes to them, and then they do stuff with that data, right? That's just how their government rolls. That's what they do. Ours does it too, but the devil, right? Anyway, so what I was getting at is you still have to have cloud. You have to have security built. You have to pay attention to the cloud, the security of your whatever you're using on the cloud. You can't just throw it out there and think you're safe. Adam means says, thanks for the info. You still need to do your due diligence by checking in if the cloud is configured. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I'm back on the FedRAMP stuff. Like, so what the government will do is they say, okay, first off, we're going to vet any technology that's used. You can't just use just anything, number one. Then they go through a process of making sure that what kind of cloud services are you using? Because based off of that, now we have to do X, Y, and Z assessments to make sure that this end of the cloud is protected, the one that's actually on the premises, and then also the portion of your system that is actually in the cloud. So they're making sure that each part from beginning to end is protected. So FedRAMP walked you through an entire process. It's really just all it is NIST 800, to be honest with you. It's just the NIST 800 37. That's all it is. Like, it's NIST 837 and NIST 53 controls, and that's what FedRAMP is. There with some extra steps. All right. Let me see here. Let me see. I got some other folks talking to me. I'm not ignoring you guys. I just got to kind of search through these questions. Frank says, I have 3 years of experience in GRC with no certs. Would you suggest a Security Plus, a C Risk, or a CGRC or a CISA? With 3 years of experience, if you can go for a CISA, you might be able to get that. That would be the top one you just mentioned here. See, it will go like this. Because you already have experience, you have the hardest thing to attain on there, right? GRC experience, so that's hard. So CISA, number one, if you can go after that and do it, you might have to have 5 years of experience, but don't quote me on that. But that's the top one you just mentioned. CISA is right there up there with CISSP. CISP here, CISA here. So CISA, next will be C Risk. That's a very high paying certification that people know about. And then I'd say Security Plus and then CGRC. But it really depends on what you want to do, Frank, because honestly, if you're trying to do pen testing or red teaming, and that, you probably want to go a different path if you're trying to do those things. CISA on that case will still be good though. CISA will still be good, and so is Security Plus. Those two right there, Trent, are in a place in the market where, and written in such a way that they could be in different areas of the 50 security domains. Like you could use those with cloud. You could use them with, it's not going to teach you cloud or anything like that. I'm just saying that it will give you extra credibility if you were going for a cloud job. You could do pen testing. It will give you that extra credibility. You still have to learn the pen testing stuff, right? But it will help you to get that job, your foot in the door at one of those jobs. It's something that it would allow you to go from one domain to another end of the spectrum of cybersecurity. Those ones are real hot security. But I would recommend, out of all those ones you mentioned, CISA would be the best one. But that's the Security Plus is really one of my favorite certifications. And CGRC, I have that one. And if you were trying to just go deeper in the NIST 800 and that's all the jobs you wanted to do, then CGRC really focuses in on just NIST 800. So let me move on to another question or comment here. Larry says, I read many reports lately indicating that foreign adversaries are targeting the U.S. via cyber attacks in critical infrastructure. Is moving towards the cloud ASAP a protection against such threats? I would say it's not really about the platform. It's more about securing whatever platform you're gonna use. Because there's no one of the misnomers, misunderstandings of organizations is that they're going to just buy a firewall or just going to buy some kind of new solution, or they're going to buy some fancy new service or technology, and then that's going to protect them. But really, it's the methodology. It's why, if you've ever wondered why are these multi-billion-dollar companies or these gigantic governments getting hacked, And it's the reason why is because they think that they're going to buy some fancy new thing, or they're going to do some fancy new whatever it is, and then they think that that's going to protect them, and it doesn't. The methodology is most important. The GR, that's why GRC is not talked about, man, but it's really important. And anytime you hear these guys get hacked, I'm telling you, the more you know about this, the more you be like, man, Bruce was right about this shit. All these organizations that are getting hacked, it's because they're not following GRC, governance, risk, and compliance. They're not doing those things, because the governance is the leadership taking the reins and saying, we're going to change our culture and we're going to be secure. We need the proper people in place. We need the proper processes in place for those people so they all know what to do. We're going to make sure we have backups of a backup. We're going to make sure everything's documented so that if this person leaves, we have another person here. We don't have these little fiefdoms and empire builders and people like protecting their little piece of the pie, not sharing information. The G and the GRC is governance. That's the leadership saying we will do ISO 27001. We all will do NIST 800. We all will do, and here's how we're going to do it. Leadership is getting involved with the management, right? The R is the risk. Super, super important, because now we're looking at we're looking at our entire network, whatever it happens to be, all of our systems, and we're saying, all right, what do we have? This is something a lot of organizations, you'd be surprised, don't do properly. What do we have out there? They're taking an inventory of their whole network and saying, what is our baseline? What is our baseline? What do we have out there, right? I've been in several different industries, and this is a common problem among all of them. They don't have proper risk management because they're not. Risk management includes figuring out, identifying what your assets are in your environment, right? Because how can you determine what your risk is if you don't know what's in your house? If you don't know what's valuable in your house, think about it like your house. In your house, what valuables do you have? Do you have jewelry over here? Is it in a safe box? Is your money in a mattress, or is it somewhere in a bank? Is it like what's the most valuable things you have in your house? Is probably your lives, your kids, shit like that, right? Of course. Now, how do I protect them? Where are my most valuable things? Where are they? Are they here in my house, or are they in another house? Are they here? Is it stuff's in the bay? Where is it? And that's part of risk management. Once we know where everything is, we can figure out how to protect it. And it's the same thing in an organization. Like we have to know where everything is first, and then we can figure out how. Okay, what is our level of risk, and what is our exposure? That means what is outside. What's outside? What could get hit if somebody does a drive-by on us? You can kind of tell where I'm from by the little. Anyway, so somebody does a drive-by on our organization. Who's outside? Who's going to get hit? That's our exposure factor. On cybersecurity, the equivalent is this. What's on the perimeter of our network? Do we have a web page out there that everyone can see? It's exposed. It's completely exposed. We got to protect it properly. Maybe we have a database that's in our DMZ, our demilitarized zone. Like it's got 1 foot internally and 1 foot externally. And we have to do that because we know our users have to log in to get access to their bit of data. We still have to protect it properly, and that's the risk. How determining the risk means figuring out what's the layout of our entire organization, where our assets, where our most important pieces, and now how can we protect them? And then compliance is whatever industry you happen to be in. Whatever industry you happen to be in will have some laws and some things that have been learned over time that you have to adhere to. If you're in the public sector, that means the government. One of the big pieces is PII, publicly available information. Now, if you go to healthcare, they have some variant of that called HIPAA. You've got different variants of PII, but really it's the same stuff. Like all these organizations are protecting PII, but there's certain little specific things that the healthcare organization has that the government might not usually have, that the banking industry has that the government doesn't normally have. And in those industries, you have all of these laws and things that were put in place that if your bank is not compliant with those things, not only are you at risk to be hacked because they're coming up with these industry rules for a reason, because 100 banks before you have been hacked this way, have been exposed this way. Somebody has defrauded their members because they've done X, Y, and Z. And so they put these laws in place for the bank so that that doesn't happen again. Every industry has it. Retail has it. Hotel, restaurant management has it. Of course, the government, military, intelligence has it. All of us, every single industry has different regulations that they have to abide by. And it's very smart to do it, because if you don't, all hell will eventually, it's just a matter of time. All hell will break loose, and it's just a matter of time before it does. So it's not about what you're purchasing or what new technology is out there. It's about how you protect it using governance, risk, and compliance. Let me see. Adam says, how do you deal with stakeholders? Example, procurement teams bought a software, and you have found that they need to open a port. Example, unsecure port 80. How do you convince them that it's very risky? Oh man, so this is a challenge you have as a GRC person, like as a compliance person specifically. This is a huge challenge. I can tell you what I've done as a cybersecurity risk consultant, as an information security officer, as a compliance guy, and anywhere where I'm in a place where I'm offering some sort of consultation, and I'm seeing the skeletons in the closet, right? Because that's what happens as a cybersecurity guy. Is at some point you get to a point where you get to see you're working at a bank, and you're like, yo, you guys are really doing that? So we have in our environment a Windows 95 system, and they're like, well, we have to have it because if we don't have it, we won't be able to run this application. And you're like, oh my God. You're like, because you just came from an organization where somebody got hacked, and this is a damn bank. And you're like, oh my, your heart's racing because you're like, oh man, this is not good. This is not good. So let me show you here. Let me explain how you handle this, how I've handled it. And some of my mentors have handled it, right? People who I look up to have told me same stories. As a cybersecurity person, you've been around this, you've seen these kinds of things. Way worse than port 80, my man. Way worse than port 80. So here's how you handle it. First of all, don't panic. don't panic. Don't freak out. Remember, it's their system. Remember that it's their system, and the stakeholder, the decision makers, they're the ones who have to make the final decision. Just remember that. Don't take it personal when they say no. That's really important, because in the beginning I would freak out. When I first started doing this, I would see these things, and I just learned about how somebody got hacked using an unsecured port on, whatever, and I would freak out, see it, and I'd be like, oh my God, you can't do that, right? And I'm an old military cop, so the response there is to try to be like an enforcer, and and a lot of times in cybersecurity, that's not really our role. It might be your role, right? If that's your role as an enforcer, then do what you got to do. But usually it's not. We're there as like an advisor, and we give suggestions, kind of like a stoplight. It's a suggestion, right? You're not the cops. You're the stoplight. You suggested that they stop using port 80, right? Here's how you do it. So first of all, you get in the meetings and they bring it up, and you bring it up. You articulate. Well, first of all, you want to know what's going on, right? Don't jump to conclusions. Maybe they're not using port 80. Maybe perhaps they're using it, but that system has something else in place that bypasses port 80. The traffic is sent somewhere else, or maybe there's an internal firewall that's doing whatever, right? There might be something in place, a compensating control that limits the amount of risk to that whatever vulnerability you have. So just gather as much information as you can, and staying calm allows you to do that. It's saying, well, okay, I need more information, right? Because maybe they have a reason, not only a reason for having port 80, but they have something else in place that's going to secure that port, that vulnerability, whatever it is, right? Number one, just stay calm, gather more information. And then if there's no compensating controls, and you can clearly see this is a vulnerability that is really a problem, a couple things you can do. Number one, it has to be in writing. What the next step after you brought it up to them in a meeting, face to face or whatever, and said, hey, port 80 is not the most secure way. You guys should use a secure port. You can use an alternative, port 443, HTTPS, right? Is there a reason why we can't use a more secure method? Offer off the top of if you already know, a compensating control or some remediation, suggest that to them immediately, right? Once you've gathered all the information, because maybe they've already considered it, but if they haven't, kind of suggest it, right? And then maybe they'll correct you or whatever. Now, if they don't take it, because I've had this before where there's pushback and they say, look, we have to use port 80, period. Like we've always done it like this. This is how we're going to use it. And then put it in writing. Send an email to the people that you're talking to. You don't have to, you could send it to your manager, your supervisor, and explain like, hey, in a last meeting last Tuesday, so and so indicated that they're using port 80. I offered that they use an alternative port, HTTPS port 443. When I offered it, they gave pushback and said X, Y, and Z. Just be very cordial about it, and because you're going to CC it to the person who you told, right? You're not trying to do some stuff behind their back. You're trying to let them know, hey, I'm trying to do the right thing here. What you're trying to do is establish a record and cover yourself, because what happens with some of this is it comes back on us because we didn't tell them, right? And I'm just telling you this because it's happened to me many, many times. And the times when I came out on top was when I had it documented. And and it looked, I sent them an email saying, hey, this is what we got to do, and I've already informed you that we should do this, and that's it. My job is done after that. Inform them in writing. Collect as much information as you can. Don't panic. If they're still like, we're doing what we're going to do and that's it, then put it in writing and suggest that, tell them the vulnerabilities. Here's why. Tell them why that it's vulnerable. Tell them an alternative. Here's, use port 443. I suggest we use this. If not, we should probably document this as either a plan of action milestone where we fix it later, if that's an alternative, if that's something that we're going to do, or document as a acceptable level of risk. Some organizations have something called there's many different risk responses you can take. That's what it's called, risk response. The organization could say, look, we know port 80 is open, but we are willing to take the risk. However, we do have this compensating control in place, right? That's what a risk acceptance document, it will say something like that. It would have a justification. It would explain what's going on. And this is something you could suggest in the email, is that, hey, we should have a risk acceptance document, or what is another one that I've seen it called? A risk acceptance, a risk exception, a baseline deviation, some sort of a document that explains, here's the problem. Here's why. Here's the justification of why we are gonna have to keep it. But here's our compensating control. Like here's yes, it's port 80. However, we have all the traffic is diverted with this system or whatever, whatever compensating that limits the amount of exposure and the amount of risk that to us. And then it needs to be signed by somebody above you, right? It should be in writing. That's what organizations normally do is they'll have some sort of a risk response. ISO 27001 has a risk response type suggestion. NIST 800 risk management framework, they have some risk responses like that, like plan of action and milestones and risk acceptances, things like that. So that's what you can do. Just make sure it's in writing. Because you're not trying to eliminate, remember, you're not trying to eliminate 100% of risk. That doesn't exist. What we're trying to do is manage the risk properly in a way that's acceptable to the organization. Hope that helps. Cybersecurity versus software engineering. Your thoughts? I think that software engineering needs cybersecurity. Cybersecurity doesn't always need software engineering, but software engineering doesn't always needs some sort of security, whether it's secure code or making sure the network that you're on is secure. But cybersecurity doesn't always involve software engineering. As far as which one you should do, I would say it depends on your skill set, your current skill set. Like if you already know scripting and Python and you're a very technical person, you're already in that lane, I would say go deeper into software engineering. Like double down on your skill set and learn things like networking and cybersecurity on top of what you already have. And then if you're starting from scratch and you're a student in college, I would highly recommend you do something that is a little bit broader, like get a bachelor's degree or an associate's degree in information technology, and then be broad with it, and then go deep later. Because you might want to go into cloud, you might want to go into cybersecurity, you might want to go into software engineering. If you're already broad and you already have a degree in information technology or information systems or something like that, which are, in my opinion, easier degrees to get, you can always get more technical, right? In the meantime, you made your life easier by doing a soft core degree. I mean, that's just me, but if you're trying to be a hardcore software engineer guy, then you're gonna have to probably do computer science or something like that, which is that's not easy. Which one do I recommend out of those two? Cybersecurity. Cybersecurity, because there's less competition. Software engineering, you're going to compete against all of the brilliant minds of India who are paid way less than us to will do way more. I myself am not willing to go against it's just, I mean, there's some really smart people coming outside the US, and they're all doing software engineering. They all collectively, not just India, but hell, fucking Russians, Chinese, the cost of living here is really high. So, you know what I mean? Like software engineering is dope. I'm not trying to shit on software engineering. It's incredible. It's great. But if it was up to me, you ask my opinion, I mean, I would do cybersecurity over those two because there's less competition. It pays just about as good or better than software engineering. It's easier, in my opinion, technically easier. But it really depends on what you like. Me, I'd go cybersecurity. Knowing what I know now, I'd go cybersecurity. Software engineering, when I first started, I had all these visions of, if I'm a software engineer, I can make my own app and then I can make all this money, and make an app that makes $1 million and stuff. And I think that some people just knocked it out of the park. Do you guys remember this application called Flappy Birds? That dude made millions of dollars off that damn stupid ass game. I wanted to be the guy who made a Flappy Birds. You know, I don't have that kind of. The people who, a lot of the times, the people who are making those apps that make millions of dollars are very, very, very talented. These guys are like the Michael Jordan of whatever they're doing. And there's not many Michael Jordans. There's just not many, right? Michael Jordan is a very naturally gifted human being, and he works hard. Like, I can't, that's not my best skill. My best skill is writing, right? It's not programming shit. It's not networking. I'm just gonna be honest with myself. It's just not my best skill. I'm not the Michael Jordan of coding. I'm not gonna create Flappy Birds or Iron Pants or any of those apps. I tried. So software engineering, like if you look at all the guys who made millions of dollars in software engineering, okay, I'm gonna name a few. Let me see. Bill Gates was coding when he was like 15 years old, right? Back in the freaking 70s or 80s or something. I mean, do you know how hard coding was back then? There was no internet. You know, there wasn't internet, but it was only between colleges and the Department of Defense, and back then people didn't have the resources to have access to the internet. And this kid, one of the rare humans who had access to it, knew how to program at a young age. Bill Gates, when he first started, right? Love him or hate him, put him on all these conspiracies, whatever. That guy was, he's brilliant. The man is brilliant. Give him his props for being smart. He's smart as hell. I mean, and he was smart enough to get out of it early on and become a business guy. I mean, he still knew it, but he was having other people smarter than him who were more gifted than him to do the coding. He bought DOS from another dude for 50,000 and then licensed it to IBM for like $1 million. He's just a brilliant dude. Who else? Another one who's controversial. I know you're gonna hate me for this, but fucking Elon Musk, man. He was a child genius. Like, just take all of the stuff you might think about him away. Okay, the man is phenomenally brilliant, and he started when he was young. I don't think buying Twitter was the smartest thing to do, but maybe he has something. I don't know what he's doing with Twitter, but shit. I mean, he started off really young. The reason why he's wealthy was because he started programming really young. He's just he's Michael Jordan of coding. You know, he's just a real brilliant dude. Another one is his partner. I can't remember his name, but those two guys created PayPal together when they were kids, when they were 19 or 20 or some shit. Yeah, him. There's 3 guys, I think, and all of them are billionaires 3 times now. But how many people are that gifted and are given or have the level of opportunity that those guys have? Like, that wasn't me. Like, I wasn't gifted in that area. I just wasn't. And then I didn't have access to a computer until I was like freaking 20. Not all of us have that level of gifts, that level of time to do that kind of stuff, that level of opportunity. They had all of it, and they just, you know, when I realized that, I'm like, oh shit, okay, that's why they're so badass. They were child prodigies. They were programming at age 7 or 10 or 11 or something like. I mean, real young. They were programming. It's crazy. I mean, not 11, probably like 12, 13, 14. I don't know. But all those guys, many of those guys have the same story, is that they're child prodigies and they worked really hard. They were obsessed with this stuff and continue to be obsessed. And what are you gonna say? They're just really brilliant, you know. Okay, let me see. Thank you guys for the hearts, by the way. I appreciate that on TikTok. Let me see. Hi, I'm trying to get into cybersecurity. Are there any weekend jobs available in cybersecurity? What you want to do, if you still happen to be watching me, What you want to focus on is just IT. So you want to focus on IT. Okay, what do I mean by that? Help desk, customer service, technical, um, being the guys who lay cable, being the first tier person troubleshooting computers. The reason why I point to those is because those are more plentiful. I'm not saying it's impossible to get an entry level cybersecurity job or a part time cybersecurity job, but if you're just coming into this game, right? There's levels to this. If you're just beginning, and if you're not just beginning, if you've been here for a while, you're already an IT guy. I got something different for you. But I'm talking to the entry level people. If you're entry level and you're trying to get into cybersecurity because it's just intriguing and it's incredible and it's paying really good and it's just right, it's solid, right? Yes, more power. You should definitely do it. But what you want to aim for is foundational information technology first. Cybersecurity is there. If you work help desk, if you work customer service in the technical department, you're gonna at some point you'll do some kind of cybersecurity. Is what I'm saying, right? Whether you're adding the signatures on virus definitions, or you're dealing with virus, you're removing antivirus, or you're helping to write procedures, or you're doing backups. All that stuff is part of cybersecurity. Um, a lot of people just don't know they're doing cyber. They want the title of cybersecurity. That comes with work. That comes with time. Because most cybersecurity, they're handing you the keys to the castle. They're saying, "Here's the skeletons in our closet. We need to manage this." So you're seeing sensitive information right away. So they're not just going to give that kind of access to just anyone. That kind of access takes time. Usually, I know that there's exceptions to every rule, but usually it's going to take time to get into the title of a cybersecurity person. In the meantime, if you're just starting out, you want to start off with a basic IT job, a help desk, customer support, customer support, something like that, local area type. Go into the job, or field tech where you're going here and there. Start there in the security. You'll be doing security as you're doing, and you want to make sure that's on your resume. Now, if you already happen to be an IT person, right now I'm speaking to you. If you're already an IT person, you're like, hey, how do I get into cybersecurity? From I'm a help desk already. I've been doing this for 2 years, 3 years, whatever. So now what you want to do is emphasize on your resume that you all the time you've done cybersecurity. In cybersecurity, I just read a list, if you happen to catch me in the beginning, a list of 50 different domains, and this does not cover everything in cybersecurity. You're talking about best security practices that organizations should have. You've got to articulate where you've done those things on your resume or in your profile on Dice, on Monster, on CareerJet, on Indeed, and put it everywhere, right? That's what you're gonna now. You have to market yourself. You don't want to just cram a bunch of random stuff on your resume. You need to focus on where you've done security. If you've written policies, if you've written procedures, if you've helped people do backups, if you've created accounts, if you've changed passwords, if you all that stuff is security stuff. If you've updated the security patches on a system, that's vulnerability management. You just got to know what the keywords are. If you don't know what those are, you can download my resume for free, convocourses.com. Download my resume for free, convocourses.net. I got a ton of free stuff. But another place you can go to is LinkedIn, one of my favorite places to go and steal information. Go to LinkedIn, type in cybersecurity, look at people, search people, and look at what keywords they're using in their resume, the top 10 guys, and look at what kind of wording they use. And you want to get that wording, those keywords and key phrases in your resume, and market yourself. I guarantee you right now there's jobs in your area. There's a lot of naysayers and people saying, "Oh, the economy's bad," and look at the S&P 500's crashing and all this stuff. Meanwhile, people actually need cybersecurity guys. Meanwhile, there's a ton of IT positions that are open, and I get it. Like, there's not as many. It's competitive. They're not hiring. You got to keep going. You can't just give up because you've gotten denied. Like, you got to check. And if you're system, like I'll get people who say, look, I've tried, Bruce, I've done this, I've submitted my resume to 50 people and I've gotten denied every time. If it's 50 people, I can almost guarantee you it's something with your resume. It's either experience or your resume is fucked up. It's going to be one of those things. And I'm telling you how to fix it. My resume is very targeted for a risk management framework. I keyed in on my strengths and I know what this market wants. And I put it right in my resume. And you got to do the same thing. Whatever you're trying to do, whether it's digital forensics or it's pen testing or it's, you got to figure out what you need to have on your resume, the tools, the skills, the experience, and you got to get that in your resume somehow, some way. You got to get it in your those keywords. You need to get them in your resume, and that's how you market yourself. And then not only put it on Dice, on Monster, on LinkedIn, and all the other 10, 20 different job aggregators, but then start applying and applying and applying and applying. It is competitive. I'll grant you that, but there are jobs for sure. I'm telling you, there's jobs out there. Maybe it's not like it was before COVID, or whatever nuclear bomb hit us recently, or it's been hitting us back to back as far as these recessions. It's been a roller coaster ride, but there are jobs out there. I can see that there's less jobs that are being sent, because I used to get sent a lot more. But there's still a ton of jobs out there, especially in other industries outside of FANG, outside of Meta / Facebook, Amazon, Apple, Netflix, Google, and all the other those giant companies. When people say, "Oh, the market's down and we can't find jobs," they're usually talking about one of those gigantic companies, because those guys are on the top of the S&P 500, and so they affect the entire stock market. But I'm not talking about them. I've never worked for any of those companies. I'm talking about the government is looking for people all the time. Apprentices, internships. Now they're talking about scaling back on degrees. They're talking about scaling back on degrees and just getting people who just want to work. But you've gotta, I don't know. And maybe it's an American thing. I don't know. We're very picky. We're very picky, very particular, and people just don't. They don't want to. They want to make six figures and work from home, but they don't want to do the work to get there. I want to break into this space with the right guidance. Where should I start? This is a great segue into what I want to talk about. All right, so there's one of the questions I get often is, what are some of my resources? And I'm about to show you guys some of the top ones that I've watched. I'm a cybersecurity guy. I do this Monday through Friday. To be honest, I watch rap videos, stuff about the culture of rap, hip hop. I watch science fiction. I watch science videos. I watch just a bunch of nonsense, man. I do not try to look at cybersecurity stuff when I'm off. I mean, I do this 50, 60 hours a week, and sometimes I just want to turn my brain off and not deal with it. So that said, there are a couple of awesome influencers who I've tuned into and who I've watched them like, okay, this guy knows what they're talking about. And let me show you a few of them. Show my screen here. All right, so if you go to YouTube, my favorite place to learn, this guy right here. This guy is Gerald Auger, PhD, of Simply Cyber. So I've watched a few of his stuff, and what he'll do is cover the most current things in cybersecurity. He does these daily dives into cybersecurity news. I don't know if they're daily or weekly, but I tune into him sometimes. Really smart guy. He's got a few books out. So this guy is a great resource. And sometimes he'll talk about how to get into this market, how to break into cybersecurity. I don't know if he mentors or anything like that, but he has a huge following. He has a huge community of people who follow him, way bigger than what I got going on. He's been doing this for quite some time. He's a very sharp dude. So this guy right here, I would recommend that you go subscribe to this guy. Another guy who exclusively talks about GRC and how to get into it, and this guy's also very huge. And people think, some people will have brought his name up to me, and I had to go check him out. But Boyd Cluvis, this guy right here helps people get into GRC. So this is another person on YouTube, and he has his own site, boydcluis.com. That's BOYDCLEUIS.com. And he's specifically talking about GRC work and people making upwards of $200,000 doing this work. And he actually gets people in these jobs, right? And non-super technical jobs, just like the stuff I talked about. This man has been very successful getting people in. So I would highly recommend you go check this man out. And here's all of his contacts. Again, that's last name. If you just type in his last name, CLEWIS, you'll find him. Another person who I found on TikTok actually is Simone Bees. She also talks about how to get in IT. This is a brilliant lady. Actually started when she's like 16 as an IT person. So she's not like a normal person. She's not a normal human being. This is, but that said, she's used her extensive experience to help people out, and has tons and tons of great content. And like I said, most of the stuff I watch from her has been on TikTok, helping people to get into this field. And a lot of stuff she says I did, and that's why I've been able to get where I'm at. Simone Bees, check her out. She's on TikTok. She's on YouTube, on Instagram, on everywhere. Another place that I go to mostly is vendor stuff. Like whenever I'm stuck on something, like I have to go to the Splunk site to figure out what's going on or how to do simple searches. And then of course Microsoft tech community, I'll go there if there's something going on. I have to figure out what's going on with some kind of vulnerability. And there's other ones too. Whatever vendor I have to go to, I just go to it. One of the top sites I go to, because I have to deal with these, is StigViewer. I use this quite a bit whenever we're dealing with security technical implementation guides for federal organizations. We have to go here and figure out like how we can fix it or what's going on with the specific vulnerability on applications, on major operating systems, stuff like that. It covers all of that. Another one that I go to quite a bit is the scanners. A vendor for your scanner. It could be Qualys, it could be Tenable, it could be whatever scanner you happen to be using. You're going to have to go there at some point and figure out and deep dive into what's going on with that particular vulnerability. Another site I go to quite a bit is that I have to go to is the cve.miter.org site. If I'm having to figure out and break down a certain vulnerability and see what level of exposure it has, or what is the intensity of the vulnerability, then the CVEs is something I have to pay attention to quite a bit. But those are some of the main places that I would recommend you go check out, especially these influencers if you're trying to get into this market. The first one was Mr. Gerald Auger, PhD. If you just type in simply cyber, you'll find him. And then the next one that I told you about was Mr. Cluis, and he literally has a whole business around getting people into this field. And then the other one was Simone Bees. I don't know if she has a business or whatever, but she just usually helps people with like gov tech type jobs. And she's been super successful with that. So those are the main people. There's a few other ones. I don't know their names off the top of my head, but I'll stumble across their page and then start watching them. If in the course of this video, I'll tell you guys about them if I remember. some of those other dudes. If you guys have any, I'll post them here. I'm not. It's friendly competition. I'm not trying to block these guys from getting their flowers. These guys have, and there's been times I'll watch these guys and I'll be like, oh yeah, that's a great topic, and forward what they say to people. So if you guys have some influencers, cybersecurity or IT related that you want to recommend, I'll put it on here. All right, let me see. And you asked, where should I start? Where should I start if I'm trying to get in IT and cybersecurity? Start where you are. And what I mean by that is you're in an industry right now. You're in a place right now, and there is an off ramp for you to get into this. Um, if you're in the military, you can actually cross train or cross rate, make a lateral change into a different career path. You might have to re-enlist for a few more years. If you happen to be in healthcare industry, no matter where you are in the healthcare industry, you got to know something called HIPAA. HIPAA is the equivalent of what I do, actually. So the more you know about HIPAA, the better. If you can become a HIPAA officer, that's the direction you want to go. If you're in retail, you have to be the clerk taking people's money at retail, like you're working on a point of sale device. That's a computer, essentially, and that computer has to be compliant with something called PCI DSS. That's another form of what I do. PCI DSS, I do the equivalent of that, but I do it in the government sector. So you could learn that. If you happen to be in retail, you can learn what's PCI DSS and start doing that and look for the IT department there and try to make a lateral change from wherever you happen to be. Try to make a lateral change into the IT department and learn those skills and learn the frameworks. Really, really important. Learn those frameworks. And now let's say you don't have a job. You're not in any industry. You're a student. Let's say you're in high school. High school, you can start on projects right now. High school probably has the greatest opportunity because you're young enough to where you have the resource. Your parents are giving you the resources to keep going, and now you have so many paths ahead of you. You can go into college, you can go into community college, you can go into a vocational school. You can just sit down and do a bunch of projects. You can start a business, right, and start messing around with doing freelancing work. You can right now, if you happen to be in high school, you want to determine which direction you want to go. So the best thing you can do is sit down, watch a bunch of YouTube videos about information technology, about cybersecurity, learn as much as you can about this industry, and then figure out which direction you want to go, and then mess around with it. You want to be a software engineer, guys? Start messing around with software engineer. Start writing yourself some apps. You might be brilliant at it. You might be a Michael Jordan at that. That might be your skill. Like you never know unless you try it. Just try it out. Like you have time enough to try things. But you want to do big projects, like make yourself do projects, like where you're building a gaming laptop or a gaming systems, or you're creating networks or fixing your grandma's computer, your mom's computer, messing around with phones. Like do projects to where you're learning more. Like Raspberry Pi is a good project to do. You don't know what I'm saying? Just Google it. Do projects. So if you happen to be a college student, so you can do internships, you can do apprenticeships. There's a bunch of programs at your school, even if it's remote, that will allow you to begin to get experience immediately. And don't wait till you get your degree. Start right now. Because what the industry is looking for is people with experience. That's what they're looking for. They're not just looking for people who know book knowledge. That's cool to know book knowledge, but what they really want is people who know what they're doing, and they prove that with your experience. So get the experience right now. So if you have, let's say you don't have a job in any industry, you're not a student, you're not in high school, you're not in college, you got no job, nothing. You're just at home doing nothing. You know what you have more than anybody is fucking time. You got time. You got time. So what you need to do is you have access to a damn library. You got access to the damn internet. Stop freaking scrolling on TikTok and other bullshit and start learning as much as possible about information technology. Start learning as much as you can. And I guarantee a path will choose you. But you got to spend time learning the stuff first, watching these people like Simone Bees or Boyd Cluess or Augur at Simply Cyber or any of these guys. Like, watch those people. Don't, like, as much as possible, start watching, and then after a while, something will click, something will choose you, and you'll just go down this rabbit hole. It might be pen testing, it might be GRC stuff, it might be networking. Something will choose you, and you'll just be obsessed with it, and that's what you want. Get obsessed enough to start cracking open books, because that's the next thing. You're not going to get really far in this without actually reading books. Start getting deeper and deeper into this. And then once you get that far, once you're that obsessed with it, start building computers. You got time to learn as much as possible. And then you can start getting your foot in the door in these entry level positions. I know it's easier said than done, but if you don't do nothing, if you don't even try, the result's going to be zero. You can at least try, right? And I'm telling you, I'm a high school dropout. I'm not some freaking brilliant guy. I don't have a PhD. I'm not like Simone Bees. I didn't start coding at 16. I'm not like Clueless, who's like a millionaire getting people in this stuff. I'm none of that stuff. I'm a regular ass dude. If I can do it, a high school dropout can do it, then so can you. There's just no excuse, man. I did this while I was in the military, going to school, and had a kid. It wasn't fucking easy, man. It wasn't fucking easy. I took a hard road because I was just a know-it-all kid, and you don't have to be like me, you know. But I'm just telling you, if I can get this far, having six figures, working from home, able to choose a job right now. I can't travel, but if I wanted to, I could get a job where I could travel and go all over the place. Right now I'm building a business here, so I really leave. But if I can do this, man, you can too. There's nothing special. The only thing special about me is that I'm willing to work hard and I'm willing to fail forward. That's the one thing I have. I have patience. I have more patience than most people. That's something I say I was blessed. I was truly blessed. Okay, let me see here. Would a background in insurance transfer well in GRC? I would have to know more about your job, but I know that there is insurance is an industry that's talked about quite a bit. I worked for I was a cybersecurity consultant, and we had a client who was a major insurance partner, and I didn't work directly with them, but we had them on our as a B2B, and so insurance is a big deal. So I'd have to know a little bit more about what you do, but it might be. I know that insurance kind of is in alignment with usually they put it in with the financial sector, but there's also HIPAA, which is literally healthcare insurance privacy, whatever. I can't remember. I can't remember what the breakdown. What does HIPAA stand for? Anybody tell me? HIPAA is Healthcare Insurance Portability and Accountability Act of 1996. Yeah, 1996. I remember that part. So yeah, there's several different, at least off the top of my head, a couple of frameworks that link directly to insurance that insurance companies are supposed to abide by. The financial sector has I want to say Sarbanes-Oxley linked in there, but I'm not totally sure about that one. But HIPAA for sure is insurance. Anyway, what I'm saying is the answer is yes, um, because you I'd have to know a little bit more about where you to like kind of navigate that path. But think of it like this: GRC is governance, risk, and compliance. That's covering a lot of ground. Governance is management. It's management of information technology and using IT solutions in an organization's effectively, using all the resources that you have. That's management of those resources in a secure way. That's governance. Risk is managing the risk. That includes assessments. That includes um, doing scanning. That includes doing self assessments. Um, Taking accountability of all the stuff we have in our inventory and figuring out what are our primary assets. That's risk. And then compliance is making sure that we are in compliance with things like the health insurance portability and accountability act, making sure that we're in compliance with FISMA Act of 2014. 2004, man, my mind's gone, man. 2000, 2002 and 2014. So the compliance is being in compliance with whatever industry regulations, and insurance might actually have its own framework, to be honest with you. All right, let me see here. Um, Larry said, being smart, educated, and having access to capital, financially sound, are equally important and something that I am working on. And not just for myself, but for building something for my children and my future. Man, that's exactly where I'm at, Larry. Me and you are on the same page, man. So everything I'm doing, I learned late in life, unfortunately, but luckily I'm in a place where I still can do something for my family and for other people, who are on the same road. If whoever I can help along the way, as long as they're willing to help themselves, man, that's what I'm trying to do. Long after I'm gone, some of the videos and stuff I write will be in somebody's hands, and that's really great to know. It'll help someone, you know, when I'm gone, and so I'm using everything I can, at my this late age in life to help others, so that maybe their life won't be as hard as what mine was. Leave the world a little bit better than it was. Help a few humans out along the way. Let me see here. I'm 19 and in 6M. I don't know what that means. Programming for A plus, Security plus, Network plus cert. Can I get a good job with those? Cameron, so listen, it's going to take more than just a certification to to get a job. Um, what you want to do is you say that you're 19, you're in a program that gives you all a certification. The certifications alone are not going to be what gets you the job. All right, I just want to be very clear that certifications is not a magic wand. It's not a magic wand. So your next question's got to be, well, how the hell do I get a job if I'm not, if I can't get a certification, right? Um, you're gonna start off. Here's what I would do. If I was in your position, here's what I would do. A couple things. Number one, you could do is military. That's exactly what I did. I went to the military, and I got on the job training in the military. So I got probably 3 solid years of experience doing networking. Messed around with. I was a help desk guy. I did risk management framework. I did compliance stuff, GRC. I did. They had me doing everything hands on. I had to learn shit myself, and then had to do it. I was taking risks. I mean, they were having me protect multi-million dollar systems. Like military is not messing around, man, at all. Now, let's say military is not an option for you. Now, it's not for everyone, right? There are other federal organizations that you might want to consider. Go to Google and type in internships government. So it's not just the DoD, Department of Defense, or military that you have to do. There's other federal organizations who are looking for you. There's state organizations who might be looking for you, and they'll give you an entry level position. They're looking for talented young people, right? Because all of us old people, boomers and stuff, we're all retiring, man, and people are leaving. So they need people. All right, so those are two options. Let's say you can't get into the federal government. They do too many background checks or whatever. You don't want to do military. What other options do you have as a young 19-year-old person? You got your Security Plus. Look for any kind of local IT jobs. To start. What you're trying to do is start in this industry. Look for local information technology jobs that you can do to get your resume, get experience on your resume, right? I'm not talking about go work at Subway putting sandwiches together, right? Not that there's anything wrong with that, but you're trying to be an IT guy, so you want IT positions where they're gonna get you in there, teach you, like let you do hands-on stuff, and then begin to trust you with better, more and more responsibilities doing IT stuff. Local jobs. Where do you find them? LinkedIn, Dice, Monster, and there was another one that's really, really good for local jobs. Let me see if I can find it while I'm talking to you. So, so yeah, those are two things: military and local jobs. What else could you do? If you're in a position to do it, this is not definitely not for everybody. You could probably start like a freelancing business, a sole proprietorship business where you help people to set up their networks. You could help people if you have the skill set to do it, right? Let's say that you're just very, very good at building computers. You could put your services out there to help people build their computers, fix their laptops, stuff like you could do a local sole proprietorship. And all you're trying to do with that is put stuff on your resume. You try to build up your resume so you can, the resume, you're using it as a stepping stone to get your foot in the door at a company or some organization, and then level up. Another thing you can do to get experience is you can volunteer your time. There's a few organizations that take volunteer work. Places like the Salvation Army, sometimes like local events will be looking for people. You've got to look locally, so you could probably go on Facebook groups. So that's another thing you can do. I know I'm grasping at straws here. Trying to find this one site that I saw that was great for local jobs. Let me see if I can find it. Jobs, local jobs in there. There was a really, really good, it was called Snag a Job. All right, here's what it's called. It's called Snag a Job. So there might be, okay, let me show you guys my screen so you know I'm not lying to you. So if you happen to be listening to me, you're watching me on TikTok, there's this site called Snag a Job. And Snag a Job has a bunch of local jobs. You put your, whatever your, and it's spelled SNAGAJOB. And what we're looking for, let's see if there's any IT jobs. Let's just type in IT. This is my local, I just put in a random zip code, and I'm looking for IT jobs. There's a ton of jobs here, but I'm not seeing anything for information technology. And it might be the same thing for you. I live in a tiny ass town, so a fairly small town area. So maybe that's why I can't find any. Let me see if I can find. I'm seeing licensed nurse. I'm seeing retail sales. I'm seeing part-time sales. A lot of nursing positions in this area. Holy crap. So let's say you're in the same boat as me where you can't find any kind of IT jobs. I'm going to type in help desk. Let me see if there's any help desk jobs. Yeah, here's one. I found one. Holy shit. So look, Snag a Job. I found a local IT technician. Let's see what they're looking for. What kinds of stuff are they looking for this help desk technician? You want to start off here in a job like this because this is a great stepping stone for you, right? It's just a great stepping stone. You're not going to stay. The goal is not to stay at this job. The goal is to level up. You get in there, you can either level up within that organization, or you can use this experience you have and then move on to something else. And I can't, for some reason, it's wanting me to put an email here. So let me anyway, use Snag a Job. Try that for finding local jobs. Let me see if I can log into this thing. I don't have an account here. The jobs exist. My point is there's opportunities around. You gotta, the first step is to realize that there are opportunities. I know that sounds crazy, but it's just like anything. You have to realize it's there. Like for me, growing up very, very poor, I didn't even know anybody who was making over 50,000. So for me to personally did not know a person making over 50,000 when I was a kid. So for me, anybody making above that was crazy. And then the more I got exposure to what was possible, what happened in the military, really, and I started meeting dudes who were buying a bunch of houses, and I met dudes who had success outside of just a regular job. I met people who were born into wealth. I met people who did it themselves and had a bunch of houses, bought a bunch of properties. I started getting exposed to people who had way more than just 50,000, and it dawned on me that it was possible to make 100,000. I realized that in the military because when I cross trained into IT, and then people started getting out of the military and making like 80, 90, and we were like, what the fuck? Like, what the hell what's going on? And found out that's not even a lot, And now that I'm doing it, it's like, no, it's really not that big of a deal. The first step is to realize it's possible, that there are jobs near you, that despite all the cap that you read, that you see on these videos or whatever, people doomsayers and it's just a lot of negativity on social media. And the reason why is because it gets views. In spite of all that, there is good news out there, right? There's a lot of good news. There's more good things happening than bad. There's a lot of jobs out there who are people who are looking for you. You might get turned down a couple times, but you can't let that discourage you. There's lots of opportunities out there. Go to Snag a Job and check it out. Like I said, if I can do it, you can do it. Because I'm telling you, I come from some pretty humble beginnings. I'm not trying to brag. I'm not proud of it. It just is what it is. Thanks, Larry, for that, man. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for that $20, man. Read your first comment here. Security Weekly is another great channel for awesome cybersecurity related. Okay, that's great. Cybrary and cyber related. Let me see. Security Weekly. Oh, that reminds me of another one I'll read from or listen to from time to time called Security Now. I'll check that one. I'll let you guys see that one in a second here, but let's check out Security Weekly. Are you talking about this? Security Weekly? Okay. Yeah, this is like a securityweekly.com. Oh, this is really good. I need to say this. Thanks, Larry. Appreciate that. This is really good. Let's get straight to the point. It's talking about Microsoft overhaul cybersecurity strategy after scathing report. U.S. says North Korea hackers exploited weak DMARC settings. Oh, yeah, that's the good stuff, man. Another one is called Security Now. I just forgot about this. I watched it. I listen to these guys every now and then. And it's from the guys who used to do this thing called Twit, This Week in Tech. I don't know if you guys remember. I'm kind of dating myself, but I used to watch these guys all the time. Steve Gibson and Leo Laporte. And they used to have this channel called, oh my God, man. G4? G4, it used to have this dude named Kevin Rose on it. And it was a real popular show. I know you guys know what I'm talking about, especially the geeks out there. You guys know what I'm talking about. This show called This Week in Tech, and it had Leo Laporte, and it had the Locker Gnome guy. I can't remember that guy's name. And I can't remember that guy's name, man. I'm bad with names. And Kevin Rose, I remember him because I followed him for a long time. He's a brilliant dude. Very young when he started. And that guy started dig.com. I don't know if you guys remember that, but for a while, Dig was bigger than Reddit. Is big. It was used to be almost as big as Reddit until they sold it to some jackass who destroyed it. But yeah, so this week in tech, Security Now is a great podcast. They just talk about local stuff, and it's from Leo Laporte, who's an old IT guy, and Mr. Gibson, who's an old security head like us. So that's a great one. Yeah, Twit and Security Now. Yeah, they both put out a lot of content. So both real smart dudes, real good stuff. Highly recommend it. And then the other one was Security Weekly. Check those out. Those are two great resources for you guys to check out. Thanks for that, Larry. I appreciate you. It says, thanks for the gems. Your channel helped me work on my goals and elevating myself in cyber workspace. Recently promoted to GS13. Congratulations, man. Congratulations. After impressing my boss with how much voluntary study I did with GRC. Awesome. That's great, man. That's great. And don't stop there. If you, especially for you guys who are having some success, like I just want you to know, man, we're just scratching the surface. I mean, making six figures is scratching the surface, man. I'm meeting people who are millionaires, doing other stuff. I mean, I met a couple people doing real estate, and they are worth millions of dollars, but they're making upwards of multiple six figures a year. I just want to let you know, like that stuff is real, man. It's real. It's real. It's not just people winning the lottery. It's people who are self-made millionaires on stocks, on real estate, on doing side businesses that blow up. I guarantee you, a couple of these people that I pointed out to you earlier, this dude, Dr. Auger, I'm pretty sure this guy is he's in the millions. Boyd Cluis, I'm sure he's in the millions. I don't know about Simone. I don't know enough, but these guys right here, I'm just saying, like, we're just scratching the surface of what's possible. But you got to first believe and realize that it's possible. Did you say you can't from insurance? No, I think from any industry you can do this. And from any insurance. So let me back up here. He said, can I get into this from insurance? How much insurance? He's an insurance person and he wants to transfer into GRC. And what I'm saying is that from every industry, from wherever you happen to be, you can get into this industry. I'm just telling you how to. Is it going to be easy? No. But can you? Absolutely, you can. Whatever you have right now, you can do it. There's an IT. If you're at work and you're in retail, if you're in insurance, if you're a real estate agent, if you're a teacher, if you whatever your current occupation is, you're a grown ass adult with kids, whatever your occupation is, there's an IT department somewhere around you. There's a network router right now that you're using. There's something that you're using right now that was set up by somebody. And I'm telling you, get access to the people who are setting that up. That's only one of the things you can do. Another thing is, normally, especially if you're in a medium to large size company, they'll usually have internal transfers to an IT department. And in those cases, sometimes they want to retain good people. So they'll allow you to do a lateral change from your current job to another department within that organization. You just got to ask. You got to figure out if they have. And if they don't, I mean, start using your extra time to start learning this stuff. Right. And every single industry has some sort of GRC stuff. They have it. They're using common security best practices. So I'm telling you, get in tune with it. I'd have to know more about your situation to know, like, to tell you exactly what moves to make. But every industry has some cybersecurity, has an IT department. Get figure out who they are and try to learn from them. Hell, even if the company doesn't hire you, you could just tag along with those IT guys. Spend extra time on your time off. Like you just got off of work, you just work at Subway, and you know an IT guy is going to be there at 5 p.m., but you're off at 4:30. Take off your uniform and ask that IT guy that's setting up the stuff in Subway. Say, hey, I'm really thinking about getting into IT. How can I get into this field? And you're thinking, Bruce, I don't want to do IT, man. I'm trying to do GRC. Everything's based off IT, bro. Everything. All of this is all information technology. You got to learn the basics first. So you need to find that local nerd and that local geek and be like, hey, I want to do this. I want to be an IT guy. Can you teach me something? Like, how did you do it? Try to follow them around. It's like, can I see you fix the router? Like, what are you doing? Like, I really am interested in learning this. Let me see. Scripting and Python. Scripting, Python, and SQL are most valuable in vulnerability management. If you want to automate tasks too, yeah, absolutely. The more you know scripting languages, SQL, I don't personally know those, to be honest. I don't personally know them, but the more you know, he's right. Adam is right. The more you know him, the better. Because a lot of times, if we are dealing with gigantic sets of information or a database or something, I have to go to another person to figure out how to parse my data properly, right? If I don't always need it, but when I do, I have to go to somebody who does know it. If I knew it, I'd be that guy. Everybody be coming to me to parse their data and move the information from here to there. The more you know about programming or SQL or Python or something like that, the better. You don't have to know it, but the more you know, the better. I got a master's in cybersecurity and end up not doing it. All staff AI. Okay, you got a master's in cybersecurity and ended up not doing it in staff AI and full stack engineering. Um, I would say this: what organizations usually are looking for, what HR departments and technical recruiters are usually looking for is experience. And because of that, they're not specifically looking for a cybersecurity degree. They're not usually looking specifically for a degree. Like it's usually a requirement that they have a bachelor's degree or a associate's degree in STEM. That's science, technology, engineering, mathematics. And experience is really what they're looking for. Is it helpful if you have a cybersecurity degree or you have a degree in computer science or something? Yeah, hell yeah, it is. It helps you, but what they're really looking for, there's exceptions. There's exceptions. Like if you're, I heard that there's some companies who are specifically looking for Ivy League colleges or some shit like that. In my 20 plus years of doing this, I got a degree from fucking University of Phoenix. I don't know if you know anything about that, but it's not the most prestigious college. It's not. I'm just being honest. Like I got something out of it, and I had some great classes in there, but it's not the most prestigious place. I'm a grown ass adult with kids. I was in the military. Like I just need to get the degree. I knew the game, so I'm not trying to be Bill Gates. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to be fucking Elon Musk. I'm trying to put food on the table and have a secure life. I'm out here trying to survive. Um, but a master's degree in cybersecurity and end up not doing it. It's common. It's pretty common. But there's a ton of jobs out there if you're willing to take a risk. That are people looking for a cybersecurity guy. You would have to be willing to leave your very secure job. But I bet you if you put a good resume out there especially with your exposure to knowing what's up with AI and full stack engineering, shit, you'd be able to pull something crazy. But you'd have to step out and take a risk. How would you find an apprenticeship? Allow me to demonstrate. Here's how I would do it if I were you. First, I would go to, there's a few sites you can use, but let's just try the most obvious one. I'm going to go to LinkedIn. And okay, there's my LinkedIn page. I'm streaming on LinkedIn right now. Ignore that. Ignore all of this. Put that out of the way. And let me show you. So what we're going to do is we're going to go IT. Let's say you wanted an IT job. Let's just type in IT jobs. So I'm on LinkedIn. I just typed in their search bar. You can do this on Dice, on Monster, on all the top aggregators. Follow along with me if you like. Go to LinkedIn, go to the search page, and then type in IT jobs or cybersecurity or ISO or whatever job you're trying to do. And then we're going to look in jobs. So what I did was I clicked the jobs button, searching for just jobs, because on LinkedIn they have jobs or people or groups or whatever. We want jobs. Now what we want to do is look at all of these other filters right here. See these filters? It has experience level. It has dates posted. You have salary ranges. You have companies. You can look specifically for remote work if you like. But let's look at experience level because that has, look at this, internship. You click this and it allows you to filter on just internship. Now you want to do this on multiple sites because there's not as many internships in your local area. I'm looking all throughout the entire United States, and there's only 371 results. So you definitely want to try other sites like Monster or Dice or whatever. And you want to go to Google too. Just go to, I'll show you that one next. Actually, that's probably better. But yeah, look at this. Internships for technical and analyst in Virginia. Another one's in Yonkers, New York. There's another one in Baltimore. There's another one in New Jersey and Alabama and Ohio and wherever, right? They got them all over. You want to try this with LinkedIn, with Dice, with Monster, with Simply Hired, with all of them have this feature similar to this. Another place you can go is Google. You go to Google, and if you type anything with jobs, it comes up with this search feature that's specifically for jobs. So I'm in Google right now. I'm going to type in IT jobs. Check this out. You go a little bit down the page and you find this right here. See this right here? What we're looking at, if you happen to be listening to me, is a little app that they have built in. I don't know if it's an app, but they have this built-in feature in Google. You type in anything jobs, sanitation engineer jobs, IT jobs, cybersecurity jobs, software engineering jobs. It comes up with this little feature that specifically looks for jobs. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to search for 100 plus jobs for IT jobs. Now it goes further into the search feature. It's aggregating information from aggregators and from different companies who have posted jobs on their career sites. It's very useful. And there's a search feature on here that allows me to dig down even further. I can search it by my local area, whether it's a remote job, and I want to look for job types. So see this, internships. So job types on Google Jobs has internships. So I'm going to go ahead and click this, internships. I'm going to hit apply, and let's see what jobs we have here. It's located in my local area, but if I wanted to expand this, of course, I could by doing further filtering. So that's how you find internships. There's also apprenticeships. By the way, there's a bunch of these on federal jobs, and nobody is really talking about this, but these guys keep sending me stuff. And the last one I saw was on USA Jobs. So let me go there. I'm going to go usajobs.com, usajobs.com. And they got a ton of apprenticeships, I believe. A few days ago, they sent me some. I'm just going to type in the keyword field here, internships. Because the government is really hurting for people. They can't find qualified people to do this work. They can't find people even interested in doing this work for the government. And a lot of our government workers are getting much, much older. They're starting to retire and get out of this. So I spelled it wrong. Something went wrong when we're okay. I know I've seen it on the site on usajobs.com. So let me look a little bit more into this. I'm sure I've seen it. And I'm sure when I get off this live, I'll find it. That's how it goes every time. Let me see. Job fairs and events. Look at this. This is a job fair and event. Um, I don't know where this is. Oh, it's online. Look at this. Hosted by the IRS, of all people. Virtual session on examining technicians. And they're looking for tax examining technicians and collection contact reps on a virtual job fair. And there's a few other job fairs. Look at this. There's another one, career fairs. I would, if I were you, I would go to usajobs.com and go to these fairs and see if they have any jobs, because they'll talk more about these. And I'm still trying to find the internship stuff, and I'm not able to find, but I'm so sure recently I saw the internship thing and it was on this site. Internships. All right, maybe I was misspelling it, I don't know, but now here it is right here. They don't pay very much, but that's not the purpose of an internship. It's on the job training. You're trying to learn stuff. usajobs.com has a whole bunch of internships for the government. Now let's look specifically for IT jobs. And I'm gonna try to find some IT jobs for the government that are internships. Okay, here's a bunch of, I found about 3,000 jobs. I'm sure that I have to filter this by time frames, because sometimes they'll just leave jobs on there for like months that are no longer available. All right, so here we have on our search filters. Oh, look at that. You can look for just remote jobs. There's 67 of them. Government remote jobs, they have them. Let's see here. I'm looking for internships. Appointment types. You got temporary jobs, summer jobs, interim jobs, internships. Here it is right here. Internships. Student internships. Recent graduates. Look at that. Student trainee, information technology. IT specialist, Air Force civilian. Information technology specialist. Multiple locations. 50,000 a year. Student trainee. Student trainee. Student trainee. Student. That means on the job training. Now, I don't know how many of these are actually Army. This one says Department of Army, so I wonder if this is actually a soldier. That's not what we're looking for. But let me see if this is an actual soldier. No, this is a GS position. That's GS. Well, now there are a lot of caveats. Must be able to obtain a secret clearance. That means you have to be a U.S. citizen. And all that means is they'll do a background check on you. As long as you don't have anything really crazy in your background, it won't stop you from getting that. Yeah, so look at this. You have to have at least a GPA of 2.0. Oh my God. What's this world coming to? So many opportunities, guys. So many opportunities. That's how you would find an internship. You might have answered this already, but what's a good roadmap to use for GRC? First step of GRC, in my humble opinion, is to get the information. Obviously, you need to learn the fundamentals of information technology. That's things like how do networks work? How does an operating system work, and what's different from an operating system in an application? What's a client server model? What's an IP address? What's like a bunch of basic stuff for information technology. It's the very first step. You need to know that common body of knowledge. And if you're not getting it in school, you can learn it on your own. I always recommend people do CompTIA A+ to learn if you know nothing. If you're already a help desk guy, don't waste your time with, you don't need A+. You need to be doing Security Plus or something else. That's more specialized and can, upgrade you. But if you know nothing, that was the first certification I took. And after I took it, it was like a light bulb came off for me. It was great. learning experience. But if the best thing you can do is go to school, but if you don't have the time or energy to do it, A plus is going to get you on the road to at least know the fundamentals of information technology. The next step after that, big step, is to actually start putting your hands on computers. You can do it while you're doing the A plus or getting the knowledge. You want to get that hands on though. You want to actually know things like command line interface, how to build a computer from scratch, how to fix a computer if one is broke, how to remove malware, how to troubleshoot issues, basic things that you have to do hands on. It's going to be frustrating. It's going to test your patience. Not everybody's built for IT. I know it's, you know, it's just not everybody wants to do this. You just, you can learn it, but not everybody wants to do it. You might not want to do it. So take it slow in the beginning. You don't have to spend a lot of money. Just watch IT videos on YouTube for free. Those long drawn out ones, follow along with some instructors. Watch influencers like myself or like Bees or like Dr. Auger. It's simply Cyber, and there's many other people that you can watch and kind of just get a feel for if you want to do this before you spend a dollar. Once you know you want to do it, start buying books. Put your computer down, put your phone down for a while, and just read some books on information technology to learn this stuff. If you're in college, it takes care of a lot of the stuff I just told you. They have projects there, they have the books, they'll tell you where to go, all that stuff. What you're trying to do right now is get the skills down and get the knowledge base. Very first step. So after that, you want to start trying to get your foot in the door. That's when you can go to snag a job, like I was talking about earlier. That's way where you can find local IT jobs to figure out how to get in this field. Another thing you can do is start linking up with the community. One of the great things that Ryan brought up that I for all these years I hadn't been thinking about it, but I've done it so many times, is link up with your local ISSA chapter. What is that? That's Information System Security Association. Every state has one, including Alaska and Hawaii. And most cities actually have one. And it's a bunch of people who are local professionals in IT that get together like once a month and just meet up. And sometimes they'll listen to vendors talk. Sometimes they'll have job openings. It's a great way to network to get a feel for the local corporations, the local talent, the local opportunities that are available for information technology and cybersecurity. So those are some things you can do to take your first baby steps into this field. The big one is to get your foot in the door. Like I said, Snag a Job is a place, a resource that you can get on there and look for local jobs. Once you have the knowledge and the skill set that you've practiced. So that's one. All of those paths will lead you to GRC. Once you get your foot in the door at a help desk or a field tech job or something like that, then you can start to specialize. You might not even want to do GRC. There's so many other things you can do. There's cybersecurity analyst work, which is very interesting. You got firewall administrators. You've got system administrators. You might want to do that. You've got software engineering. You got guys who are super sharp at scripting. There's so many different areas aside from just GRC that you might want to take. But GRC, if you're still focused on, let's say you get way down the road and you already have that job, you're help desk guy or girl, and you're like, okay, here I am. I made it, and I still want to do GRC. I know what it is. GRC focuses on how can we maintain the security posture of our organization. Our security, what I mean to say is, our security is at this level right here in our organization. We want to keep it that way. How do we do that? That's our focus. We're not focused on how do I fix the firewall? What rule sets do I put on the firewall? We're not necessarily focused on, oh man, we got to update the patch on this particular system. We're actually thinking about all of those things, all the things that make us secure. We have to have a big field of view on the organization, not just like one thing. So we in a lot of meetings, you want to focus on how well you speak at meetings. Communication is a real big part of it, really big part, and that people don't normally talk about, but it's probably the biggest part. You want to be familiar with the security policy. So to start, you can start reading security policies. If they can involve you in the writing the procedures or policy, do it, because that's stuff you can put on your resume. Another big one that's not often talked about is frameworks. That's really our bread and butter. Like, what you really want to know, what in whatever industry you're in, is frameworks. If you're in healthcare industry, it's going to be the HIPAA Act. If you're in government, it's going to be NIST 800, FISMA. If you are in banking sector, financial sector, Sarbanes-Oxley. It might even be PCI DSS. If you're in retail, definitely PCI DSS. So there's all of these different rule sets that we have to put on in our environment, and we have to be focused on that. So then you start learning that stuff. But that's way later. The first step is the baby steps, to know the knowledge, to get the skills, understand IT, all that kind of stuff. Right? You can get that in college if you happen to be lucky enough to have the resources and time and money and energy to do school. It really kills a few birds with one stone. And if you have the willpower and strength to do the military, that's a lot of birds with one stone that not many people can do. A very small percentage of us who are watching this go into the military because it's just too hard. But if you can do it, they're going to give you on the job training. You'll be able to travel. You can go to college. They're going to pay for that shit. You can get certifications. You can get. I mean, they're knocking everything out at once, but it is fucking hard, bro. Like, it's not for everybody. Let me just tell you. All right. Okay, let me see here. Yeah, thanks for everybody watching. I appreciate you guys. Let me make a speed run through these. I got a lot of people asking me stuff, saying, okay, I'm not saying that you can't develop in cybersecurity, but you can. But for me personally, okay, I don't know what they're talking about. It's like athletes that played sports since they were kids. They just have way more experience. Oh, you're talking about very talented people doing it. You might have answered this already, but what's a good roadmap for GRC? Okay, I answered that one. I'm trying to get a 1099 IT job. Oh man, there's tons of 1099 IT jobs. I'm offered those a lot. They're all over. If you put your stuff, so what I've done is I've got my stuff on Monster, on Dice, on LinkedIn. I got all my skill sets there. And so I get a lot of contacts from jobs that are 1090. They offer me like, hey, we got a 1099. And 1099 means basically they treat you like you're another business or you're a sole proprietor, and they're not going to pay your taxes. You got to pay taxes directly to the government. And then also they don't have benefits usually. That's the big one. They don't have benefits. Like if you're a worker, if you're a W-2 worker, they have benefits. They'll have set aside money for school, or they have a health care plan, or 1099. They have none of that. They treat you like you're a separate business, and you're going to go to, at the end of the year, if you made 50,000, you got to pay your own taxes on it. You got to go. They didn't take money out of your taxes. You got to go pay that. If you made 50, you might have to pay, I don't know, 10,000, 13, whatever it is. You got to figure out how you're going to pay that in a year, where they're putting part of the money they're paying you on aside. And I've done it a couple times, and it's it gets the job done, pays the bills. But yeah, it's just like you get the other jobs. A lot of them are on LinkedIn. There's nothing special about it. You just go to LinkedIn or on Dice, on Monster. They're there. You just apply for jobs, put your stuff out there. They'll contact you actually and say, hey, we have a 1099 job, blah blah blah. But if you don't have exposure, if you don't have your stuff's not out there on Dice and LinkedIn and all these places, and you're not actively like looking, they won't find you. And I notice that's what's happening with a lot of people. How would I even get an IT job? I've been applying for 5 months with no luck. I want to get my foot in. Normally, it's people's resume. It's two things: their resume sucks, or they don't have experience, or both. It's usually that. It's usually one of those things. A couple things you can do though, aside from fixing your fucking resume. fix your resume. In other words, fix your resume. But another thing you can do is go to Snag a Job. They're probably still going to ask you for a resume, to be honest with you. But Snag a Job has a bunch of local jobs. They don't pay as high, but you're trying to get your foot in the door in the beginning. Like right now, it's just a stepping stone, right? Yeah, so that's one thing you could try. I'm in the DMV area and trying to get into GRC. Check out Boyd Cluis. He might. I think he specializes in getting people jobs in the DMV area in GRC specifically. I don't know if he. I'm pretty sure he charges. I don't know what his rate is or whatever, but he's been successful with getting people in there. Go to Google, type in CLEWIS, Boyd Cluis, and that guy specifically helps people in. I believe he's in the DMV area, if I'm not mistaken. So try that out. And another thing is, again, your resume. Like you look at my resume. You can download my resume free. Go to convocourses.net. Scroll through it. You see a bunch of free stuff. You'll see my free resume right there. Just download that. You don't want my newsletter where I give awesome free stuff. That's fine. You can just unsubscribe later. But there's an unsubscribe button. But put your email address in. You'll get my free resume, and then it'll break down how I was able to, what I'm using, the keywords and phrases that I use to get in GRC, to do GRC work. It's worked. I mean, my experience is not up to par. That's due to the fact that have never had a job in IT. Yeah, so if you have never had a job in IT, content sauce, you want to try Snag a Job. I mean, I don't know what do you have any certifications? Do you have a degree in cyber or anything? Or like, I don't know your situation, right? I don't want to tell you like, oh yeah, just go apply for anything. You don't know anything about IT. That's, that's not what I'm saying, First step is you got to know IT. That's the very first step before certifications, before degree. I mean, if obviously you have a degree, you have the, I'm assuming you have the knowledge, because that's what the degree is for. But first step, get the knowledge, get the skill set, get the knowledge. Nobody is going to hire you. You might be able to get your foot in the door with no experience. I mean, you can. It's possible. I'm telling you. Go to Snag a Job. You can. But you're not going to be able to get a job with zero IT experience. You've got to learn something. You got to know something. Because normally they're gonna have to have something to work with if they're walking you through the steps to fix this or that. I wanted to start in cyber, but had an opportunity to start in IT. I wanted to start in cyber, but had an opportunity to start in IT, so I took it just to start. Yeah, absolutely, Jose. That's what you do, man. That's exactly what you do. Oh man, this thing's about to die, man. It's 5%. I don't know what's going on. My battery's draining really quickly. That's how you do it. Start in IT first, and then you're going to specialize from there in the cybersecurity. But you got the right path. IT has security on it. Now what you want to do is, as you're in IT, focus on all the security things that you're doing. You're actually doing, if you're in IT right now, you're actually already doing cybersecurity. You just don't know. If you're auditing stuff, if you're turning on event logs, is what I'm saying. Turn on event logs on the system. That's cybersecurity. If you're managing the event logs, if you're reviewing the event logs, all that cybersecurity, if you're involved with security incidents where something happened and all of us have to respond to get rid of this malware, if you're updating the security patches, that's vulnerability management. There's so many things that you might be already doing. You got to put it on your resume though. All right. So, hey, that's it for TikTok. My phone's about to die in like a couple minutes, but thank you guys for watching. I got so many questions I didn't get to, and I apologize for that. I just catch me next week. If you just subscribe to me, and next week, I'll do this quite often. Sometimes I'll just do a surprise live or whatever and post stuff. So just go ahead and subscribe to me. And till next time, guys, I'm out of here. All right. So YouTube, let me see if I got anything else. No other questions, man. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate you. Larry, thank you so much for that $20, man. It really helps me to buy these semi-healthy drinks. Thank you guys for watching. I'll let you guys know when I have any other free stuff, or any kind of special events or something I can give out. I'm working on some more stuff that I can do for you. But in the meantime, thank you so much for watching. Thanks for your support, for all you guys who gave me all those awesome comments on my books and stuff. It really helps me out. Later.